Hello and welcome back to the Odds Now YouTube channel for your daily World Grand Prix summary, preview and best bets. We are into the quarterfinals. 32 men entered, only 8 men remain, and there's been so many shocks. I can't actually recall a tournament with quite as many upsets, to be honest. Last night, all 4 betting favourites crashed out in their second round matches, which just means the bottom half of the draw is just looking unrecognisable from the way many predicted it would look. But yeah, we crack on. We've still got 100-1 outsider James Wade in the running. He's actually, dare I say it, joint favourite to make the final now from his bottom half of the draw. More on that to come, of course. But yeah, Luke Humphries, unsurprisingly, a red hot favourite now to take the title, to retain his title. Which would have been unthinkable when he was 5 legs to 0 down to Stephen Bunting and surviving a match start to go home without winning a leg. But there we are, fine margins at the top of elite sport, particularly at the World Grand Prix with this fantastic, fascinating format, which seems to suit some players more than others, doesn't it? Well, we've got 4 tasty quarterfinals to come tonight. First thing to say is we're still playing best of 5 sets here. There's not been an increase in the format just yet. So it's first to 3. We've got all 4 matches this evening as well, with the semi-finals to come on Saturday and Sunday for the final. So without further ado, let's get cracking straight into it. And the big game for me, on a personal note, and any followers of my anti-post recommendations, Mike De Decker takes on James Wade. Now, as I say, Wade, 80-1 at Ladbrokes, available with a Ladbrokes boost at 100-1 in the outright market just 5 days ago. Well, he's now no bigger than 10-1 to win this title. He's, as I said, joint favourite alongside with Dimitri van den Bergh to make the final. But you'd be a brave man to predict who's going to come from this bottom half of the draw, wouldn't you? Because there's just been so many upsets. That continued last night with Mike De Decker stunning Gary Anderson 3-0 in Thursday's opening game. I did give De Decker some hope in that game, but I got to be honest, I didn't expect him to dismantle Anderson in the way that he did. We all know he can live with Anderson in terms of the scoring. Mike De Decker is one of the top 5 180 hitters in the PDC in 2024, so his scoring qualities have never been in doubt. But his ruthlessness and efficiency on the outer ring, particularly double 16, has been a joy to behold, really. And it got him through a titanic tussle with Damon Heta, and it came up trumps again for him. And De Decker said afterwards, after beating Anderson last night, that it's never really clicked for him on the big stage until this week. And that is right. And unfortunately, that was why I talked myself out of backing him for this quarter at 18-1 as a cover bet, despite giving him the big up in our preview video. So I'm kicking myself a little bit because it would have made this a lot more comfortable watch. But no, Wade, you've got to be delighted, haven't you, as a Wade backer? You'd have taken it a quarter final against Mike De Decker. So whether he wins or not, we've had a good run. We're in a good position. Fingers crossed, Wade he can get over the line. He's a very, very narrow favourite for this game. This is a pick 'em really. James Wade 5-6, Mike De Decker even money. I wouldn't be surprised if they go off the same price, to be honest, because De Decker, unsurprisingly, is proving a popular bet because of the way he plays. He's so quick, so rhythmical. And yeah, the way he dispatched of Gary Anderson, a clutch 120 finish to take the second set. I think that was the killer blow, really, wasn't it? If Anderson had levelled it at 1-1, I think he probably goes on to get on top of De Decker. But as it was, De Decker had his chance and he took it. So huge credit to him. But the interesting stat here for me, this is Mike De Decker's first ever major quarter final, while James Wade is on the longest active streak of anybody in darts for years, consistently making a quarterfinal. In the last 19 years, Wade has made a major quarterfinal, which is unbelievable, really. De Decker was 9 years old when that streak started. Now, obviously, there is a place where youth beats experience. I'm not at all saying that he can't win this match. I think it's a very, very close contest. But you do just wonder whether that experience is going to come to the fore and whether Wade is going to be able to keep his composure a little bit better in the big moments here. Now, everything we've seen from De Decker in the first 2 matches would suggest that this shouldn't faze him. But I do, maybe it's my position playing a little bit of bias into it, but I do think Wade might just sort of grind this one out. I don't want to say classic Wadey, But that is kind of what I'm expecting here. I think he might grind this one out 3-1 or 3-2. I'm not going to have a bet in this for obvious reasons, and because I think it's an extremely tough match to call. So many variables. I'm just going to sit back, watch it, probably through the cracks of my fingers, and just hope that James Wade can find his way through into the semi-final so I can have a nice hedge off on my outright bet. But yeah, a good game to start the evening. Next up is Rob Cross. He takes on Ryan Joyce, one of the many surprise packages in this tournament. I did say that I thought Joyce was one of the outsiders on yesterday's video who has a real chance in this tournament of going deep. Because of his proficiency on the outer ring. He's always been a fantastic doubler, and he does have major runs in the locker. He's been to a World Championship quarterfinal, Ryan Joyce. He's been to multiple major TV quarterfinals. So this is not new for Relentless, but he still feels to me like an underappreciated and undervalued PDC player. So pleased for him to get that win over Nathan Aspinall. Yes, he had to dodge match darts and ride his luck, but he's been on the wrong end of those kind of matches previously. And I think to be ranked where he is, given he has a crippling fear of flying, as he opened up to our partner channel Darts Now about, I just have so much admiration for him. And I think he's a really, really solid pro who always sort of tends to average in that mid to high 90s region in big games. And you just know what you're going to get from Ryan Joyce. You're not going to get an easy ride. And I feel like even tonight, Rob Cross, a strong favourite to beat him. I can't have that really. I think this is a much closer match than the odds suggest. Cross was our most profitable selection of the first round. We backed him to beat Littler at 15-8, but that was maybe more about how Littler might stumble in this format, and it proved the case. Cross played okay, but I think he was the lesser player for large patches of that match against Littler, and he just came up clutch at the right moment as Littler's doubles betrayed him a little bit. So I had my uncertainties going into a second round game with Martin Schindler. And again, I think just the pivotal moments went Cross's way, really. Schindler had it at 1-1 in sets. He was in a commanding position in set 3 and let it slip. And there you go. He lost 3-1. I'll give credit to Cross. His double 18 hitting has been as good as anybody's opening double in the tournament. And it just seems to come up for him at the right moment. So he'll come in a good frame of mind. But look, traditionally, all the history tells us that Rob Cross is not a great player in the World Grand Prix format. And I think while there are those chinks in his armour, he comes up against someone in Ryan Joyce who, yes, he probably hasn't got the top level of Cross, but he clearly loves this format. It's the opposite for Joyce. He relishes the double start. Some massive clutch finishes against Aspinall, 3-figure outs at big times. And you could say that this is a little bit of a free hit for Joyce. He's got to the quarterfinals. It's a fantastic run for him, but I don't think he's done just yet. I genuinely do think he can win this game tonight. So a quote of 2-1 available with Star Sports. I'm going to have a little flutter on Ryan Joyce to cause yet another upset here, and maybe just extend that fairy tale run another step. Game 3 is the red hot tournament favourite. Luke Humphries is even money in places now to retain his title. I think the best price you're going to get is sort of 5-4 about Humphries. That would be a get stuck in job for some. But yeah, given our outright position on this tournament, not for me. I do think Humphries is the likeliest winner. I think that's a pretty obvious statement to make. But whoever's been following and watching the daily blogs and write-ups will have hopefully taken a slice of 25-1 each way about Johnny Clayton. And it means that we just have a bit of a flyer in this match. The Ferret, interestingly, I don't think he's without a chance here. I think he's got a tall order against Humphries. But as I wrote about on my oddsnow.com column, Clayton has actually he's closed the gap in averages between him and Humphries over the last 30 days or so. It was for most of the season, there's been a 5-point gap between these two, but that's down to a 3-point gap over the last month, which probably tells you that Humphries has been a little bit out of form, and Clayton has been refinding his form again. And I think this double-in format suits him as well. Obviously, a former champion here at the World Grand Prix. He's very comfortable in this format, and he did really well to dismiss of Ross Smith because neither player was at their best. And at one point, it felt like the game was running away from Clayton a little bit, but he dug in. He took his chances when they came, and he by his own admission, is not playing at the top of his game, but he's definitely got that fire back in his belly and he's got the bit between his teeth. And an interesting stat for you here. Humphries and Clayton have met 7 times, and Clayton has a 5-2 record against the world champion. They've met twice in majors, and Clayton has won them both, including last year's World Match Play semi-final, where it was a mini classic, really. Clayton prevailing 17-15 in the end, getting the break in the last leg after Humphries spurned his chance to take us into extra time. So if there's a psychological advantage to be gained from those kind of wins, Clayton has that in his locker. He's under no illusions. He knows he has to lift his game a little bit, and he probably needs Humphries to have a little bit of an off day. I don't think that's beyond the realms, but I do think Humphries is a very worthy favourite here. So from a betting perspective, I'll just be sitting back and rooting on Clayton for an upset, but also, enjoying the masterclasses that Luke Humphries puts on. I love watching Luke Humphries. I don't know how anyone who loves darts can't love watching Luke Humphries. It just makes it look so easy. And this is going to be a fun one to watch between two of the game's nice guys. Looking forward to that one. Final game of the night then is Joe Cullen versus Dimitri van den Bergh, and fair play to you if you pluck these two out from this particular quarter. I don't think either of them were on my list, even my long list. But then again, I do find myself saying this about Dimitri van den Bergh sometimes, and maybe I just need to start giving him a bit more respect when it comes to the majors. And when I did a World Championship anti-post update last month, I did actually reference this, that Dimitri van den Bergh, who was a 6-6-1 runner for the World Championship, for example, he just needs majors to get him going. He just doesn't bring it on the floor. He's frequently exiting Pro Tour events at the first round, averaging 80 something. So he's got next to no interest in Pro Tour events by the sounds of it. The Euro Tour, I don't think he's brought his best game anywhere near enough in that kind of sphere. But when a major comes round, inevitably Dimitri lifts his game. This is a man who just 5 months ago was winning the UK Open. So there can be no questions over the quality and the caliber he possesses. He's a multiple major champion now, former world match play winner as well. And the way he got rid of Dave Chisnell last night was really impressive, because he wrestled control of that match, which was nip and tuck in the first 2 sets. And then when Chizzy threw a bit back at him with some big scoring, Dimitri was up to the task. And closing out the game, he actually threw 8 perfect darts to finish. He went 180, 180, and then checked out his 2 darter in 2. So flawless, really. And he really does have so much natural talent. Whatever you think of him and his persona and his long drawn out games, you can't argue with the talent the man possesses. I think he's a very worthy favourite here against Joe Cullen, who, fair play to Cullen, he's rediscovered something that we haven't seen for a few months. He was less eloquent than me in how he described his recent form. There's a few swear words in there. And I couldn't really disagree with it. I don't think anyone could. He has been well below par at the Rockstar for most of this year, but he's grinded it out, hasn't he? He had to withstand a bit of a barrage from Chris Dobey early in his first round game, but when Dobey opened the door for him, he took his chance. And again, it was the same story last night. Daryl Gurney was in command early, but Cullen, when the door opened, he took his chance. And that's what he's doing. But you can see, my worry with Cullen is you can see how hard he's having to work for these chances. He's still nowhere near his best. Everything is an effort to him. And I think when you're putting that much effort into big stage games, it's bound to take its toll on you. And Dimitri van den Bergh is someone who doesn't expand energy in his games. In fact, he makes a point of showing you how little energy he's expanding, calming himself down all the time, taking an edge between throws, and just generally not getting too worked up. So I think all things considered, when you add that together, Van den Bergh looks a very solid proposition here. He is the betting favourite, but I thought he would be shorter, to be honest. I thought he would be closer to 1-2. He's as big as 4-5, and that's a bet for me. And I'm also going to back Dimitri on the handicap, which is best price of 17-10 with Betfred, so that's for him to win 3-1 or 3-0. I do actually think he'll do this quite comfortably against Cullen, who's done very well to get as far as the quarterfinals, but he's still not playing all that well. Whereas Van den Bergh against Woodhouse and Chisnell really impressed me. So that's how I see that last game of the night going. Just to summarise, I'll bring my best bet onto screen. It goes without saying that the James Wade game is our most valuable game tonight, but no individual bet on that one because it's a very close contest to call. I want to be with Ryan Joyce for another upset. I think 2-1 is a very fair quote for him against Rob Cross. And then Dimitri van den Bergh my most confident kind of selection of the night. I think he'll have too much for Joe Cullen, who's still just fighting a little bit to find his best game. 4-5 with Ladbrokes looks very solid for the win, and I'll also back in -1.5 sets, 17-10 with Betfred. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know who you're backing for tonight's quarterfinals in the comments. Would love to see your predictions and thoughts. And yeah, thanks for watching. I will be back tomorrow with my thoughts on the semi-finals and Sunday for the final. You can check out my written column, which goes into a lot more detail over on oddsnow.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.